Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a bicycle. We're going to be painting it step by step, and I'll show you from start to finish. I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat during our live show today, so if you have questions while I'm painting this, you can ask them, and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. All right, try is a key word there. I'll try to answer. I don't know everything, but I've been painting about 30 years now, so I probably know more than most, but not as many as some. Not as much as I would like.
More than me.
More than Mark. It's a good, I know more than him.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We're in a weird mood today. I've got a 9 by 12 inch canvas panel. This is from Fredrix, a layered Belgian linen board. I really like these. And I have started this off with white with just the slightest, and I mean the slightest. I had probably about this much white that I just squirted onto the canvas. Probably didn't need quite that much, but and then just like tinted it just the slightest little bit with a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow and yellow oxide. So the canvas is just barely tinted like a light yellow. And that just to give us a head start. And then I transferred my design on. I'm not going to show how to draw a bicycle today. Sorry if you were hoping to see that, but we don't have time for that. No one got time for that. It's too complicated. Maybe another video. I do have another bicycle that I want to paint maybe next month or sometime this summer. It's got some flowers in the basket. And so maybe we'll show how to draw it then.
We got family night.
Yeah, we got stuff to do. We got groceries waiting after this.
That's right.
We forgot them on Tuesday. We lost our. Anyhow, long story. Let's go over colors. I've got carbon black, burnt umber. This is light burnt umber, but it's in a fluid form, so they don't have the fluid with burnt umber. I would have it, but I just figured for the tree it'd be a little easier to have the fluid form. I also did the fluid with the carbon black here. Burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, yellow oxide, Indian yellow hue, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium red light and medium, phthalo green yellow shade, and this is unbleached titanium. And my titanium white came out. It wanted to be over here. I was trying to squirt it out and it just plopped right out. So it's here, and then the zinc white's over here. Usually I have my white over here, but anyhow. And then this is just my glazing medium. Sorry, I don't know. Nobody needs to know that, I don't think, but just in a weird place. I'll probably be going over there for it because I'm so used to having it up there. Be looking for it over there off the painting. Got a 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch blender and a 3/8 inch Deerfoot Stippler. It's just an angled round. And then these are just a fan brush, small fan. So I've got a couple different sizes, the 20-aught and 10-aught. Bristle fans, and then I've got some rounds because we're going to need some round brushes for the bicycle, and we're going to paint it in mostly silhouette. It's very dark, so there's going to be a little bit of tint of color, but if you really wanted to simplify this, you could do it all one color and really make it even easier. I will have the traceable available of the drawing, so you can transfer it onto your canvas before you work. And I would do the same exact thing. Paint your background first and then transfer on your design over the top. You don't have to do it twice. But it's available on Patreon. So if you're interested in that, or you could just find a picture of a bicycle and trace that. I've got a 1/4 inch angle shader that I might need for some of the bigger areas. And then I've got a 4, 2, and 0 round in the Umbria. And these are all Princeton brushes. They're our brush sponsor. Really love their brushes. VelvetTouch in the red handles, blue in the select, and then the Umbrias in the brown here. And I've got all the materials that I'm using down in the description. Blick.com has most everything, and I've got a link to that, our affiliate store, down in the description, so you can find all this good stuff that we're using today. But if you don't have these exact colors or brushes, just use what you've got. It's gonna be just fine. You don't have to run out and buy a bunch of stuff. All right, so I'm going to need to do a few things with this before we put in the the main bulk of the bicycle, but I do want to kind of just darken up my lines just a little bit so that when I paint, because I'm going to have to paint some of this background stuff and I want to lose those lines. So I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt sienna and my glazing medium and just kind of go over my lines just a little bit here to darken that up. I'm mainly worried about this area because I'm going to put my tree behind here and I don't want to lose my drawing. I mean, I guess if I did, I could just transfer it back on, but I don't want to do that. It takes a while to transfer stuff, a drawing this complicated. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. Didn't say that yet, but we're glad to have you with us on a Saturday. We do this almost every Saturday.
Yeah.
Live. We like to do it live so we can get to chat with you all and get to know folks, answer questions, that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun for us. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, I guess. No, maybe 3, maybe 5. I don't know. They all run together after a while. It's been a while. We got about 400 videos on YouTube right now. So if you're interested in we got all kinds of different levels. So if this seems too complicated for you, I'm sure there's more simple ones. Or if you want a little bit more detail, then I've got a ton of more advanced paintings too. So lots of different things. Okay, so that should get us through. Let me put the bicycle seat into. It's probably not going to need it. And I didn't draw in my. Oh yes, it did. Okay, it's right here. Let's make sure I did that. Sure, none.
I'm playing around with the noise stuff.
Can hear you clicking around over there. Mark got some new gadgets, so he's super happy. We have a noise suppressor now, so I can make noises. You can't hear it. You shouldn't be able to. Pretty cool.
Well, it did pick up that tapping.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But I have it turned down some.
That's good. Well, I figured it'd be nice to have a little bit of. You turned it all the way up now? Oh, there's a cat. Did you hear the meow?
Yeah. Heard the cat a little bit.
You hear the cat a little bit?
We'll figure it out.
Okay. I don't know why I'm just doing the whole vibe, just enjoying it. It's kind of meditative. Okay, let's keep doing this. All right. So let's get the number 4 round. And if you haven't already, just go ahead and paint your background in like I did with the white. If you missed that part, the background was painted white and with a little bit of yellow. So, and I've got some yellow from my transfer paper on here. Just wipe off. I used yellow transfer paper for another painting where I wanted it to be white. If you want your background to be pure white, do not use yellow. I learned that the hard way because, man, we were trying to cover up yellow the entire painting. We just finished it, and it was our bonus. It was our, not bonus, it was a Patreon challenge image, and we do one that we work on all month long, and it was this one here. And we drew it on paper and then we transferred it on. And man, it took forever to get rid of the yellow tint. It's pretty much gone, but it was the background was supposed to be like pure white and it did not want to go away, that yellow. So just word of warning, Probably, I don't know what I would have used different, but it did not. It was pretty difficult to work with. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start out with a number 4 round. I did not draw in my tree, but it's going to be somewhere in here. I kind of just prefer to do the trees freehand myself. That's why I put out this burnt umber light burnt umber, and I'm adding a little bit of black to it, so it'll make it more like my burnt umber color, a little bit darker maybe than the burnt umber. And then I want just a slight tint of green in it, so I'm going to add a little bit of the phthalo blue. I could add a little bit of yellow too if I wanted to make it even more green, but black has already got a lot of blue in it, so yeah, I probably do want a little bit of, maybe a little bit of yellow oxide. It'll tint it just slightly to the green side. React with the black and the blue that we've added. There we go. That's better. So really, you could use pure black. Like I said, if you wanted to do, you could probably do, I wouldn't do the bike and the tree the same color since they overlap each other, but you could pick shades of, of similar colors. So the tree is coming up right in here. I'm just going to start right off the edge here. Kind of curves up and goes next to the seat and then starts to. And the reason I'm using the fluid paints because they thin so much easier. They're so much easier to thin, and when you're doing these thin branches, you really need a thinned out paint. It just works a whole lot easier if your paint's thinned out. So just going to do some little zigzaggy. And make sure that these lines out here are really, really fine. And if you want to, you can switch to a liner. I did bring a liner. I'm just going to try to do as many as I can with this bigger brush. It'll go faster. And most of this in here is going to get covered by leaves and stuff, so I won't worry too much about it, but you just need to make sure that it's narrowing. It's getting wider as it goes down and narrowing as it goes up the tree. There, and then you can widen out the juncture between the branches just a little bit. That'll also kind of help make it look a little bit more natural. I'm pretty happy with that, I think. So we'll just have to let that dry a little bit before we mess with it anymore. We'll put in our greenery. How you doing, hon?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
All right. I I'm gonna get, I usually don't wet this down, but I want my paint to be a little bit wet, so I'm just wetting it down for that reason. Get a little bit of the burnt red and my phthalo blue. This is burnt orange, not burnt red. Burnt orange, phthalo blue, and then I'm gonna grab some cadmium yellow and make a green. And I'm going to add some of this dark black brown that brown, green, whatever color this is. And I'm going to start putting in some of our grass. And I'm using this Deerfoot Stippler and just pointing it and angling the tip straight down so that I can get a little bit of texture. When it ends, it's going to look a little fuzzy. And way back in the back, I'm going to get a little bit more of the white here on it. Same colors, but just with white. So it's kind of faded. There are some like little mountains that are way back in the background. So I'm going to maybe...
So on the tree, which one of those brushes did you use?
Not really seeing it on this side. What?
For the tree, which brush did you use?
Catch it while it's still wet. You can wipe things off here. What? For the what? Sorry. For the what?
The tree, which brush did you use?
I used the number 4 round. And the Umber, yeah. Okay. Back in here. There's like a little mountainish something back here, way back. It's gonna go behind our bicycle. It's probably a little bit, needs to be a little bit lighter. Here we go. Should be just a couple shades lighter, darker than your background. So just a little, slightly darker. Just so you can kind of see it back there, but it shouldn't be like the focal point. Okay. And then the grass is all going to be in front of it. So I'm going to grab some more of that dark green and just kind of tap that in front. See how that's going to work. It'll look farther back when we get the darker grasses here. I'm not going dark enough with this, but it's okay. And that probably is not light enough back there. I'm going to get this dark green. And this back corner, almost all the way up mark, is going to be dark. And then it kind of angles this way. So don't go too far up because your grasses are going to kind of fill in this area, but there needs to be some darkness back there. There's some darkness. There's these dark shadows, and then there's a lot of dark down here. So this will really help sell that distance. Okay, this should be dry enough now. So I'm going to get some more of this green, black, brown, just using all this color that I've got left here. Tap, using the tip of this brush. Create something. You could use if you have like a sponge, you could use a sponge for this. I'm just using this brush because it's going to give me a little bit more control. There's a little. On YouTube, it's freezing. Okay. What do we need to do?
Maybe try that.
All right, so this is going to dry pretty quick. So while we're working on that drying, I'm going to get my kind of a larger flat. I'm going to get a number 212 bright. Something on YouTube said. I know why I did white with that, because I don't need. Okay, you worry about the technical. I'll focus on the painting. You can let me know if there's any issues that I need to know about, but
Okay.
Can't focus and paint at the same time. I'm making mistakes here. All right. So I think I'm going to use some of the Indian yellow to glaze white with it to tone it down. Transparent though. The glazes work better for transparency. And when I say glaze, all I mean is I'm going to go in and add a little bit of transparent, like a layer of transparency over and then I'm going to let it just kind of run out of my brush. So if you have too much paint in your brush, it won't work. Let's go ahead and do some more over here. So just glazing medium, a little tiny bit of paint, a little bit of just whatever tint that you want it to be. And you can do this with any color you want. So if we wanted our sky to be blue, we could use this with the light blue or something and do this glaze. So I'm going to go right over my bike. It's actually going to pick up some of that color from my drawing too, for my transfer, which is fine. I'm still seeing my lines, so that's good. And I'm going to go over top my tree there and leave just my whitest part right in here. That's where my white's shining through. Is everything okay? Still doing it?
Seems to finally have straightened out.
Good. Okay. So I'm going to use a little bit darker color here. Just slightly darker. And I'm going to go over the top of that tree. Down into my bike. And you can, like I said, you can tint this however you want. So if you want it really yellow, you can really add more. If you want it more of that sepia tone, you could add a little bit of like a brown to it. I'm going to leave mine fairly bright, I think. Might add just a slightest bit of, let's use a little bit of the burnt umber there. That'll have to be dry enough for it to go over. I'm going to do it down here. Just down low. Hi.
Looking good.
Thanks.
What you painting over there? Good looking.
Shush. Yeah, I'm going to get comments about that. I get comments about you flirting with me all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Be like, I don't want to hear your husband flirting with you, just paint. I'm like, well, too bad, because we like each other, so I'm sorry that offends you.
They're jelly.
They're jelly.
They're jelly their husband doesn't flirt with them.
It's probably. I don't know.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's good enough. It's the main thing is you just don't want it to have a harsh line. You want it to be a soft blend between that. And it like I said, it takes a little bit of practice, but the main thing is to kind of work really quickly while that glaze is wet and not to overblend it. So you notice I just kind of started where I wanted it to be the brightest, because when you have a load of paint on here, it's going to be the brightest. So wherever you set it down first. And you can see how little paint I actually had. I mean, I got mostly glaze, and I picked up just the tiniest little bit of paint on there. I mean, that's all you're going to need to do this entire area. And a little bit of there, maybe a little bit of that yellow oxide, and get a little bit more of that. And then however much white you want, the zinc white, just to tone it down and lighten it up a little bit. So, and that's really all you need to do it. And you can see how little paint I have on my brush, and that's probably almost too much. So you can use your paper towel and just kind of wipe it a little bit before you go to your canvas. That can help you keep it from getting too saturated when you're glazing. The main thing is to keep it soft and transparent. So start where you want it darkest, and then just kind of work up into where once you feel your paint kind of leaving the brush and starting to leave less and less paint, then you can even speed that up by wiping it on a paper towel, and then just keep on going. And then wherever, if you're still seeing a line, you can get a clean brush or wipe this one really good, and then use your glazing medium to go over that line. But make sure that you do it before that paint starts to dry, and it starts to dry pretty quick. So you really do have to kind of practice this. And if it did dry, say it did kind of leave streaks, that can be fixed too. So nothing can, with acrylics, it's like you never really do ruin a painting, you can always fix it for the most part, because they're opaque. You can cover the colors over. Some are opaque, some are transparent, but because you can make them opaque, I should say, you can cover and fix most mistakes. Okay, just keep moving on here. So I do have this white that I mixed up here. I'm going to go ahead and use it, and I'm going to use my Zinc White and some of my glaze, and I'm going to get some of my yellow oxide here. So it's just yellow, white, and glazing medium, a little bit of white, Zinc White, a little bit of titanium white, probably 50-50 maybe. And what I'm going to do is go around my tree here and soften up around my tree. You can see what I'm doing here. It's going to add kind of like this halo effect around my tree. I could have done this first, but this this will kind of soften up this whole area. And then what we'll do is we'll put another layer of the darkest dark on there where we want it to stay dark. But this kind of just gives everything kind of that haze that you get when things, when the sunlight's filtering through. So you don't want it to be covering everything too much. So if you're covering it up, that's not what you want. You want to still be able to see everything through it. So just make sure that you're adding enough glaze, and just take your time here. And I'm really just scrubbing this in. I've got the 3/8 inch blender here. I'm just scrubbing in around, getting the brightest color around the outsides of each of these tree clusters. And if I want it a little bit brighter, I can go in with a little bit more paint, but I don't want it super obvious what I'm doing, so just try to keep it subtle. And as I get over here, I'm going to go a little bit lighter, and then back in here I might go a little bit darker with the darker yellows, because we did tint this area, so it's a little bit darker in general. And go right over the top of that branch. Okay, so then I'm going to grab my black and burnt umber light, my phthalo blue, and then I'm going to mix it with this color. So I'm going to make a gray kind of with this. I'm going to use that in here some. That was way too much. Don't want it to go on solid. Okay. Tap that brush out so that you're getting kind of fuzzy edges, and then so kind of find your clusters and just put a little bit of this color. This should be very similar to what's already down there, but it's just going to be kind of a little bit of a way to add more colors. I'm off camera.
You were just barely on camera. I was watching, and then I had to type something, and then you were off camera.
Okay.
Just
You need to tell me when you zoom in so I know.
I've zoomed in.
Okay.
People want to see the details.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
So there's been a lot of questions
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple weeks regarding your water bucket there,
Oh, yes.
and so
I'm sending it back.
yeah,
I don't like it.
we're gonna take it out of your store.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, it's rusting.
It's rusting. I don't like it. I'm not happy. So I'm sending it back, and I ordered a Richardson. I have a feeling this is a Richardson knockoff. Like, it's probably the cheap cheaper version because the Richardson one was more expensive. But I didn't see it on Amazon when I ordered this one, or I would have ordered it because I recognize that name. I know that, this one was a name I didn't know. So that's my bad. But I found it on Blick. So Blick, if you go to the Blick website, and it wasn't actually that much more than this one. They're normally like $100, and it was like 50. So this one was like 45. So it wasn't that much cheaper, and it's definitely, I think that the Richardson one is stainless or aluminum. It's one of those that's not gonna, hopefully not rust. None of the reviews that I saw said it was rusting. So hopefully that won't be an issue with it.
And what brush?
Should not do that.
And what brush are you using?
I'm using the 3/8 inch blender. Okay, so just doing this really soft effect there on the trees, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the darker. I'm going to clean that out really good. So I don't have the white in there because I want it dark. Black, and I'm going to go ahead and grab some of the white and the brown, just like we did before. So that kind of dark black color. And now I'm going to really just kind of focus on where I want it really bright and keep it kind of in the middle of these like light clusters. And I'm going to go over my tree trunk too a little bit. Leave a little bit of the glow around the outside. So it's backlit, right? Sun's coming from back here, so there's going to be kind of like a little bit of a filtered glow around the sides. That's what we're trying to kind of mimic here with our layering that we're doing. This glow around the sides of our dark areas, and the middle part's silhouetted because it's not getting the light as much. Okay. I'm just going to show up really dark, so just keep do this really slow. Be kind of deliberate about it. Kind of really think about where you want to put this before you just tap, tap, tap everywhere. Kind of stop every now and then, look at it, and see what you're seeing before you continue. I'm holding the brush at the sideways, so I'm getting kind of these planes of leaves kind of going this way. How you doing, hon? He's not listening to me.
Sorry, I was listening to the playback.
How's it doing? How's it doing?
It's doing good. It's a little artifact-y, maybe.
What? Artificial?
Well, it's like when it picks up your voice, it kind of has like a little bit of a sound to it, but then it's doing a really good job about filtering out all the background noises.
Do I need my mic closer to me? Is that why it's doing that?
I'm sorry?
Do I need my mic closer? Is that why it's doing the...
We could try that.
Okay.
But the booster thing is working really well too.
Okay, good. Trying to improve our sound. We've always had issues because I talk real quiet when I get in the middle of my painting. It's just something I do. I try not to, but it's kind of a natural thing. I guess when I relax and do it, my voice gets more mellow. So sometimes people complain that they can't hear me, which we don't want because, I'm trying to do this so people can follow along. So we do the best we can, but this is our first audio upgrade in a while. So we're trying to get get that worked out. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. I might make some more edits to it, but I don't think I'm going to need to do much. Let's go ahead and get my small liner, and I think that that's far enough away to that mountain. I think it's maybe what I can do is add a little bit of the zinc white over it and just glaze it. Just to fade it out a little bit. Okay. And I feel like it's too, let's go ahead and use some of that yellow. I feel like it's too green. Okay. So we get a color that's similar to that background color and just go just like one shade darker than it. There we go. That's better. Okay. That'll be a little bit more subtle. Oops, I should do it over here too. A little bit of it right there. Okay. All right, so with my this brush here, this is the script liner 2-aught. Use whatever brush that you're comfortable with using for lining. Doesn't have to be this one, just whatever. Works well for you. I'm going to use my fluid white because this will just make it that much easier. When you're using a liner brush, it's really, really, really important to use fluid paint. Very, very fluid. You're going to have to add a lot of water if you use the heavy body acrylics, which I do lining and stuff with heavy body acrylics all the time. So it's not like you can't, but it speeds things up a lot by using the fluid acrylics that are already thin out. So you don't have to spend so much time going back and forth adding water to your palette there. So I am making a kind of a lightish brown here, and then I want to make a darker kind of greenish color. I don't have my fluid phthalo out, but I can add water to it, and then you can add a little bit of glazing medium to help it stick, because if you add too much of the water to your paint, it won't bind to the canvas well, because you're basically getting rid of all of the binder. You're diluting it too much. So with craft acrylics, it doesn't matter because there's pretty much all binder, not as much pigment. But with these ones, we want to do a little bit, add a little bit of glaze or something, some sort of medium to acrylic medium to make it stick. Okay, so I made a nice, really pretty green there. And then I'm going to get some burnt umber and make a dark, dark green. Okay. So I've got 3 different colors to work with here for my grasses. And most of them are going to be like these 2 here. And then some of the highlights are going to be in that. So I'm just going to, and just make sure that you've got a good thin brush and get a fairly good amount of paint on there and twist it so that you've got a really nice point to it. If it doesn't come to a point here, it's not going to magically do that onto the canvas. So just kind of know whatever your brush is looking like here is going to what it's going to do down here. So you need to make sure, if you don't have a brush that's going to give you nice fine lines, then you may have to invest in one and just make sure that you take really good care of it. And the thinner the paint, the better. You're going to want to set your brush down and hold your brush straight up and down on the canvas. Talked about this last week when we did what did we do? I painted something that had lines in it. What was it? The tree. When we did the tree, I talked about how to use the liner brush with that one. because we, all the limbs were with the liner brush. But the main really important part is just to make sure that you're holding your brush perpendicular to the canvas. Turn your canvas so that you get a nice easy line, and just set your brush down and pull. Don't try to go real slowly and carefully, because then you're not going to get a good line. So just I hold my brush and rest my hand on the canvas. That keeps me from going too far down on it. And then I just find the spot where my brush is touching down, and just use that and just move my hand and lift it when I want to, when I want that paint to come off. See how thin I can get those little whatever they are.
Those lines are almost as fine as you.
Shut it. Gosh. Mark is trying to make me feel better because I was crying before the show. He's like, he never knows it's, I don't know, hormones. He knows. It always hits me at weird times. I just started crying for absolutely no reason. It's fine. I mean, life, it's life, right? It's just.
I mean, I thought I hung up those flowers okay.
Mark is like, I said, I'm feeling stressed. That's all I said.
And I said, about what? And then just look on her face. She just was like going to burst into crying.
No, he just looked like a deer caught in the head. I'm sorry, I asked. Oh my gosh. It was so funny. After I cried, I thought it was funny. Sometimes I do that though. When I get stressed, I feel like sometimes it just helps me to cry. I don't know why. I feel better afterwards, and then I'm good to go. But sometimes you just got to cry it out, right? Mark
True
doesn't
that.
know. Mark.
I cry all the time.
You do it in the shower, so nobody
I'm
can tell.
crying on the inside.
Okay. I believe that. All right. So I'm just going to continue doing my lines all the way up in here. And these ones over here, I'm seeing more brown. So that's why I'm mixing these kind of lighter browns here. I added a little bit of yellow to this one here. I don't know. I grabbed some of this lighter brown over there for here. And I'm just going to, now, if your line is doing that, see how it is broke up a little bit on me? I don't know if you can see that, where the paint stopped skipping, or it started skipping. That's because my paint is not thin enough, surprisingly enough. I'm adding all this water to it, and it's still not thin enough, but that's how you can tell you don't have enough water in your brush. So yeah, it should just flow right off. If you have a really heavily textured canvas, this is one of the things that I forgot to mention last week too. If you have a super heavy texture on your canvas, that can cause the skipping too. It can cause that your lines not to be as smooth. So kind of just know that going in. You may have to go just a little bit slower when you're doing this to, maybe just a little bit slower to allow that paint to catch into those crevices. But all right. And these grasses are they're kind of almost up even with the baskets. So bring them up pretty high in some of them. And I'm doing them in different directions. So they're not all going to grow, just straight. That's what's going to make it look artificial. So you want kind of this effect. You want them to go in all kind of different directions. And they go kind of straight, and then they just have kind of a gentle curve, grass. If you've looked at it, kind of go outside and look at it and see what it's doing. Find some tall grass. Check it out.
That's one of the more fun things I like to do.
Go outside and look at grass.
You just look at the grass when I feel like crying.
Because you've got weeds out there.
Yeah. I try to find the grass first.
You find the grass that makes you cry, and then
I was like, oh, I have grass?
Oh gosh.
Oh boy.
So we got family game night tonight?
Yes, we do. It'd be fun.
Nice.
Get to hang out with our kids. Always nice to see them. I just realized there's a tree back here that I missed. So if you want to do, it's pretty much this color. It looks like back here, but it's kind of covered up by all this grass, so you really can't see much of it. So it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to try to put it in now. It's too late. Too late. You missed it. And do some shorter ones and some taller ones. So some of these are like real short in front. And we'll do some more once we put our tire in. So these ones are mainly going to be the ones that are obviously the ones that are behind the tires. So because all of this is going to go on over the top. Gonna be painting all of this. But there are quite a few that are back there. And the ones that are kind of in this middle area are not super tall. What's up, Spence?
Try not to make any noise.
Yeah, the door is squeaky. Well, never mind. Our Spencer graduated from high school on Tuesday. It was the weirdest graduation ever. It was just us and the principal and a few teachers telling us where to go.
Yeah, they let the families
Very
in.
sweet of the teachers to be there.
This big old auditorium probably sits, 3,000-4,000 people?
Oh, no, not that many. But a lot.
A lot. And it's just
Getting some bird
Spencer
Sienna here. Yeah.
walking across the stage to the principal, Angela, myself, and our oldest son, Nathan,
In the audience.
with a professional video guy.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they're going to piece it all together and make a virtual graduation ceremony that they're going to air this week, I think. Maybe next week. I can't remember. No, I guess it's in when their normal graduation was going to be.
Yeah,
So whenever that was in May, they're going to be airing this. So I'm doing a little bit of a reddish grass now too with this burnt sienna. It's just different colors. There's all kinds of different things going on in here. So yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yep.
It was nice of them to do that way.
And then for after prom,
Yeah.
he doesn't go to prom.
Wish he wasn't going to go to prom at all. He won.
He won a prize.
He won a prize. He's like, what? That was nice of them because they had gathered all kinds of sponsors and prizes and everything, and they were going to give them away to the kids for after prom. And since they didn't, they just decided to open up to all seniors, even, and so Spencer won a Keurig and a gift card.
Yeah, he won a gift card and a Keurig, and all you heard was gift card.
Yeah.
And all I heard was Keurig.
It's like, ooh, Keurig. Coffee. Ears perked up.
Yeah.
It's some big coffee. Okay, so that's pretty good. So before I get too much farther, I'm going to go ahead and switch over. Let me see. And I thought about using my fan brush for this too. So I got this little baby fan brush. This might work for me. I don't know. We'll see. So, but I want to use my yellow because there's a lot of yellow that I'm seeing. Yellow and white. And we're going to go just slightly darker than what we have in our background, but similar to the color that we used for our tree glazes, the halo happening. Maybe get a little bit of the brighter yellow. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Get some of that white. So I'm mixing up the darker color, and then I'm just kind of using what's on my brush here and getting some white and taking it over here. And going to tap in some little, I don't even know if you can see those, but I might need to go a little darker. So now I'm going to kind of find those ends of my grasses and add little seed pods to them. Some of them have them, some of them don't, so you don't have to do this to all of them. And I'm going to add more. Okay, so it's kind of subtle. This part's kind of subtle because we're going to add the darker over the top of this. So this, I'm just kind of laying the glow behind, right? That little glow area. What I'm doing here. A little too big there. Keep them fairly small. They're not super big. And see them more against the darker. I'm not sure if I like this or not. I kind of feel like I'm going to try it with the round brush and see if that's better. This is the 0 round. Or even let me try this one. Just going to go for 3 brushes. Just try them all. The angle brush, and if I tap the angle brush out a little bit, it'll fuzz out a little bit on the end, and then I can kind of use it. Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite. The thing that I don't like about fan brushes is that because they're so thin and there's such a thin layer of paint or thin layer of brush, and they're not absorbent. They're like at least these they're bristles, and they don't really hold a lot of paint, so they're not great for laying down large areas. So if I grab it with my angle brush here, I can really load up a lot of paint in there. I don't have to reload it as often. I'm all about that. I'm going to grab a little bit of the burnt sienna there. There we go. I'm just going to pull some lines on the ones that can't see. Stem too. All this is going to be behind my spokes of my bike. So these are the ones that I'm seeing through. I think I had a lot. Little bitty ones down at the bottom. I'm finding those areas that I've already kind of done it. I'm going to add a little bit more of the darker. Get that kind of burnt sienna color. You can see how they're kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, man, when you're not talking, it's like,
Super quiet.
are we still on?
There's nothing there.
We didn't hear the truck go by.
Oh, wow. Yeah, our neighbors, I don't know what he's going to do now. He's not going to get his cameos on Saturdays.
So somebody has a question here.
Okay.
They've asked, they said probably a silly question, but why
never.
paint the grass before the chain guard?
Because we're doing the grasses behind the bike right now. So
Ooh.
that's what we're doing. And then we'll do the grass in front of the bike after we paint it.
So it's easier to paint the whole thing and then paint over it rather than try to paint it in, right?
What are you talking about?
So the grass is in the back. It's just easier to paint the whole blade
Yes.
first and then
Yes.
just paint
try to go around it. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Not
not
going to
trying
guess where it starts or stops.
Right. Yeah, no.
It gives you that more natural full flow.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm painting over the top and then
I know what I'm
I'll paint.
doing.
I'll cover everything and then paint back in just the grasses that are in front.
Man, I'm going to have my own art channel before too long.
You know all about it, honey.
Yeah, of course.
Watching enough of these, you probably do. Can probably.
I've only watched like 400 some odd.
Yeah, exactly. After a while, you'd have to start rubbing off on you some. Okay, so you can see we've got them all kind of fun, different little ways. Some small, some bigger. And every now and then just do kind of little small random ones. And the main thing is you don't want to crowd out all of that white in the background. But there's a lot of, like, especially through here, there's a lot of this that is almost solid grass. Like there's not a lot of the white showing through. So we'll, I may even use the brush and do some thin while I've got this color on my brush. Just gonna flatten it out here. And this is the kind of darker brown here. I'm just going to kind of use it to do some maybe a little bit thicker blades of grass that are down low. That'll kind of help transition between this really dark area of grasses. You can see it's kind of showing up just a little bit against it. You can get some fairly thin lines with this brush too, so. Okay. And the ones that are in front are definitely going to be a whole lot bigger. So these are all the little baby ones that are way back in the back. And now I'm kind of going over just a little bit of that dark area. Oh, I forgot to do these ones here. So just leaving that light yellow glow in the middle part. Okay. Still see a whole lot more grasses in there. I think I'm gonna.
Well, it seems like the amplifier thing's working too.
Good. They can hear me better.
People were complaining earlier, said that it sounded like you had the microphone in your mouth.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm going to
Adjust it.
adjust the levels on this side over here. So
Great. It sounded like I had the microphone in my mouth. Is it like muffled, like kind of like garbled?
just like kind of overblown,
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
clipping.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, so
Hopefully that didn't last very long.
no, we got it dialed in,
Good.
sort of.
Okay.
You may sound like a dolphin once in a while, but that's okay.
That's normal. Okay, so now I'm using the burnt. And I'm sorry, not burnt. Yeah, the burnt light. Burnt umber light. for all this small grasses down here. And I'm going to go ahead and use the same brush that we did in the tree here. Sorry, frog in my throat. And I'm going to tap in just some small bush down here. There's a little bushes.
So somebody's asked a question. They asked, what is the benefit of using glazing medium? What does the glazing do?
The glazing medium has a little bit of an extender. So one, it gives you a little bit extra drying time when you're working with the thin layers, because when you're adding water to your paints, it's going to make them dry faster. So having a little bit extra drying time is a nice benefit. I don't think I like that very much. Tap that off. And then with heavy body acrylics, like I mentioned before, it depends on the kind of paint you're using. If you're using a fluid paint, you don't need it really as much. If you're using heavy body acrylics, you really probably ought to get it. If you're going to be doing these kind of things where you are glazing, glazing just is adding color without having to paint it in. So you're adding a thin layer of color to tint your canvas. It's a really subtle way of adding a little something. And I'm kind of glazing with this now. Just adding a thin layer of this darker brown just down low, because I feel like it just needed a little hint of something back there. To fill in some of this. I'm seeing some areas where there was like little white spotty stuff happening. I don't want that. So, and using your finger to blend it in can help too. But when I'm doing, any kind of painting, you can just go back in after you're done with it and add tints of color without having to paint in a new color. So, say I wanted my sky to be blue and I've already painted all of this in. The only real way of doing it without covering everything is to glaze. You can do a thin layer of glaze over the top. It's just paint and water or paint and glazing medium. Just basically you're adding very, very little bit of paint, just a very slight tint, and then laying it on in a super thin layer so that you can see the light of the other colors through it. You can see it's not going to cover, you're not trying to cover up anything, and using transparent colors makes an even better effect because they already they're translucent, so that you don't have to work as hard to get them to be transparent. With opaque colors, they don't glaze as well because they'll leave a haze like this white did. See how that haze happens? Now, sometimes you want that, but if you want it to be super clear, then you want a transparent color. So all of your Phthalos, Quinacridones are going to be good for glaze because those are all transparent. Okay, so we're pretty much done with all of our back layers. This is where you can kind of see if there's anything else that you need to do with your tree or anything. You definitely want to make sure your background is completely the way you want it before you do the next step. So pretty happy with it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use my number 4 round and start adding my color detail to it. This is where I'm just going to be adding a little bit of red to our bike. So I'm seeing the red, and I'm going to use the burnt orange to make it more of a rusty red. So I've got both my reds there. It's kind of an orangey red on the bike. And you can use burnt sienna if you don't have the burnt orange. It'll do something similar. And I'm just going to start painting it in where I'm seeing it. It is really hard to see my lines now, though.
Okay, got another question.
Okay.
They said, where'd it go? There it is. If you glazed a blue over the yellow sky, would it appear green?
It would, yeah. It's probably not the best example, but yes. Yes, it would. You are correct. Let me see. That was not the color for that. That color is up here. That's the tire. Okay. It's pretty. I'm going to get some of the burnt umber, use some of the darker color up in here. Build off the cover. We'll just let that dry. Acrylics don't like to be messed with when they're in the middle of drying, so you try to add more color while they're drying. They will just lift off. They won't stick to the canvas. So if you're having that trouble and you're like, why is my paint not sticking to the canvas? Well, you're probably trying to put it on while it's still drying. So just give it a minute and do it, and then it'll stick.
Yeah, or you're painting over an area and it's lifting off.
Right.
Yeah. Like NASA rocket. Liftoff. We have liftoff.
And that, I need to get the tire first.
So the time of the of this live stream, it's the beginning of the month of May 2020. And we got patreon.com/AngelaFineArt.
Yes.
You can go there. You can
See what we're doing next month. We're going to be painting. Sorry, I'm getting lazy here. What are we painting? We're painting a
stuff.
fawn. And we're painting. I'm trying to think what the bonus video is.
Let me check the email I got.
Oh, yeah, it's a still life. It's going to be cool.
But anyways, there's different levels. $2 level gets you the traceables back to February 2017. The $5 level is the traceables plus reference photos in a bonus video. And $10 level is all that plus access to a Facebook group.
Yes.
We do even more painting, usually about an hour.
That's the one that I showed earlier with that that one I was talking about, the white background. That's the one we did in that group.
Yep. And the last segment of that was 5.5 hours.
Yes.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
On top of all that. So
yeah. Yes. So that one we take our time usually, and try to finish it within 1 month, the whatever it is we're working on, but over several weeks we'll just work on the same painting. Usually it's about 6 hours. This one was a lot more than that. that one with the herbs and the glass jars. Mark said it was 5 hours just for that one session, and we had 2 other sessions that were about 2 hours each, so about 9 hours, I guess. Something like that. So, but those are ones that, I really just, like I said, take my time. It's a lot of fun. It's a good group. On Facebook, they get to choose what we paint the next month. So they voted on all the ones that you're seeing in my schedule just about. Those were the ladies' favorites. So they get to kind of
have some influence.
Yes, exactly.
On the influencer.
I hate that name. I really do. It sounds so pretentious. Like I'm an influencer.
Well, it's not as high level as like a cat influencer.
That's true.
Let's not get too crazy. You haven't made it yet.
I haven't made it yet. Okay, good. Good. I'm good. You do not have to call me that ever. Okay. All right. And filling in my drawing here. And I'm going a little bit darker in some areas. So kind of towards the back here, you kind of think about where the light's hitting it. And it is going to have that kind of same glow happening. So the areas like right in here are going to maybe get a little bit more light. So I'm going to put the dark color down and then I'll go back over. You're never going to want to really do this in one layer. It's never going to look good. So you're going to have at least 2 layers on here before it looks like it's not done by a kindergartner. No dissing to kindergartners. Their art is awesome. So just saying.
I'm taking offense to that.
Okay. I really can't tell what's going on here. I didn't really do my tracing very dark, so it's kind of hard to see now that I've painted over everything. I might be better off just trying to trace it back on again, but that's the whole reason I didn't do it, because I didn't want to have to take up the time during the video to do it. That's why I did it beforehand. Oh, well. Yeah, because this looks kind of low here. Let me get some black here. A little bit of white, but mostly black. Too gray, and I haven't cleaned out my red, so it's all kind of in there. And I'm going to do my little area there. And like I said, you could just do this silhouette. So if you did not want to have to do all these little areas in really carefully like I'm doing, you could just paint it in dark or paint it in like this brown color, give it a little warmth maybe, but it doesn't have to be these colors like I'm doing here. You should get your values right. You're fine. And this is all pretty dark, mostly, I'm going to go a little bit darker here. And all this back here is really dark. This is it. I guess this is the spokes. Yeah, I could not draw a bike from memory. If you paid me $1 million, there is no way. If I did not have a reference photo, if I couldn't draw a chair, oh my gosh, there's so many parts. And even like looking at it now, I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what half of this stuff is. It needs it. Huh.
There's a chain guard that you're painting.
Yeah.
Red.
Okay. Okay.
So you don't get your
You don't have to mansplain it to me. It's okay. I can resist. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I got the hint. That's okay. I know my place.
Asking for.
Quiet down over there, video boy.
That was perfect.
I deserve that.
You acknowledged it. That was awesome. You didn't do that very often. That was I couldn't resist. Sorry, Annie. You're getting to such a good explanation too.
It's okay. I was gonna make dinner for you and all that, but
go carry on. can't draw straight lines. I'm laughing.
She's just cracking herself up over there, thinking of it.
Oh my gosh. This is great.
She just cut me right off.
Just not asking to explain. It's just acknowledging my ignorance. I'm not requesting an explanation.
I didn't ask you to explain it.
No, I don't want to know, to be honest. If I could probably figure it out if I really wanted to know.
Nope.
Looks like fine, you'll never know. Okay, let's see. I am seeing some grasses here that I didn't realize I missed, but I think I can put them in afterwards. So I'm not going to try to put them in right now. This area here is getting a little bit more light, so I went a little bit lighter with it. And I still don't really know what's happening with this tire here, or where this fender ends. Can't really tell. My reference photo doesn't show, so I'm not going to worry about it. Just put some grass in front of it. It's a nice thing about being an artist. If you don't like it or you don't understand it, you just put some in front of it. You've got the control. If you want more flowers, add them. You can put flowers in this one. It can be beautiful. Add some wildflowers. But you'd have to redo the whole premise of it. It wouldn't be quite the same. So what I'm going to have to do is add a whole lot more of my dark up higher, realizing as I'm getting this on here that this tire probably curves in somewhere in here. So I need to bring these dark grasses up just a little bit higher in here. Just going to go ahead and do it just a little bit right in here. There is a lot of dark right in this area. We're just about right where this curves down. All of this kind of goes dark. So just make sure you have your grass up high enough, and we'll be adding other grasses on top of it. And I think what it is it's these close-up grasses that are covering it. So it's like I'm trying to look through them and they're in the way. So I can't really tell what's going on there. So I'm not going to put a really hard line there though, because then I'll have to cover it. So I just want it to kind of dissolve down into that and disappear if possible. So that makes sense. Okay. What was chat saying? Did they want to hear your mansplaination?
No, they were laughing. They were laughing with us.
With us? Okay, good. Glad we can laugh at each other.
Oh, of course.
We get a lot of it. Was not as much anymore. I think when you first started helping me, I think people were concerned because we made fun of each other. But especially I got accused of being mean to you.
So we're at that point in our marriage that we can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
20 years ago, it might have been a different story.
True.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Right.
Now we just laugh it off.
Mm-hmm.
We know each other too well.
Yeah. 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 He gets as good as he gets. And we don't pick on each other's weak spots too. So there's certain things that are not, we just don't make fun of. I would never make fun of something that would hurt your feelings deliberately.
Well, you don't have any weak spots, so I can't. There's nothing new for me to.
Good one.
You're welcome.
That's good.
Well, except maybe chairs. Other than that,
Painting chairs. Right, there's a little cross piece there. There's some sort of doohickeys here, a little axle thingy that we're seeing right there. Are you loving me?
your knowledge of bicycle anatomy is spot on.
Axle thingy. Yeah, terminology. You can just come here for all your bike facts. We got you covered. Okay. So I'll put the black one. I'm going to go back over it with kind of a little bit of a lighter color. And a lot of this is getting covered by grass. So just want to make sure I've got this angle right. It's not a perfect circle because we're seeing it kind of in an angle. And there's the underside of it here. I'm going to get a little bit of the red up around the underside of the tire. It's darker. It's actually, didn't mean to do it that thick. Shoot. Get that off of there. Okay, try that again. That happens when I look away while I'm in the middle of doing a line. Don't do that. Okay, so this comes out, and then we're seeing the underside of the tire, and then this tire, I don't know. It's probably in there somewhere, but all of this is getting pretty much covered by grass, so that looks about right. I think it probably comes in a little sharper right here. You get a little bit of the white seeing, a little bit of the, maybe like right in here. And then just a little bit of white on the outside rim. Okay. And a little bit of it right here. I don't know why I brought it out that way. It's supposed to follow this. Okay, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's pretty thin, so try to keep it small. This brush is probably a little too big for it, but you get the idea. And I'm not going to try to go super realistic on it. You know, I'm not going to try to get super detailed with it. I'm just going to kind of get the basics in there. Because again, this is kind of in silhouette, so you're not seeing a lot of really sharp detail with it anyways. It won't look good if we do that. Try to keep it kind of painterly. By painterly, I just mean a kind of, you know, kind of rough brush strokes. Just get it in there as close as you can and move on. Don't fuss too much with any one area. Okay, doing my second coat on the rim there. And then I'm going to get the Cadmium Red Light, and I'm just going to kind of go along that edge just a little bit with that. Highlight that a little bit. There we go. That's fun. Okay. This is actually a little bit more tricky than I had expected it to be. I really, like when I was looking at the picture, I was thinking, oh, that's just a silhouette, but it's really not. It's got a lot of, you're actually seeing quite a bit of the anatomy of the bike. But like I said, you could definitely simplify it so you don't have to paint all these little doodads in and just do the basic outline of the bike instead. Totally fine to do that. You kind of know your own skills, so I would say just, do whatever level it is. It's challenging but still fun. Good to challenge yourself and try new things. But if it's going to be super frustrating, it's not worth it. And if you're going to give up because you just can't do it, then I would say just simplify it a little bit. Just pick a color and do the whole thing in that color. You can still add the glow, like little highlights to that color after the fact. You don't have to leave the whole thing that color. I've done that on several of my silhouette paintings, so you can go back and look at some of those. Like the ballerina I can think of just off the top of my head. That one, she was a solid color, but then we just highlighted parts of her to make it kind of pop a little bit. So, all right, doing a little bit of the brown here on the handlebars. This is just, I've got all these colors in here. Honestly, the color does not matter as much as the value. So just kind of try to get your values right. The darkness that you're going for here is kind of a middle tone, middle to dark. It's not super light. I'm going to get some white here. I'm seeing little highlights of white parts of this. So I'm just going to kind of, the parts that I'm seeing the highlights. Top of the handlebars. Here that's sticking out. Little bell here, it's cute. Get that one in. Do the dark underneath the little arm thing sticking out there, and then the top part's got white. It's got the rounded part there. Fun. Okay, so this actually kind of comes this way. And to get this, there we go. You like that? A little break. So I'm coming out this way. And there's the little attachment for this basket. The bottom of the handlebars, this end here has got a little bit darker end where it's facing us. Okay. Get a little bit of the dark. So we've got the light, and we're going to kind of come in here and add our shadows too. Always thinking about the contrast. That's what will give it depth. If you have it all the same color, it's not got as much Get a little bit of that burnt umber and the Quinacridone orange, burnt orange. I'm going to go underneath this. Ooh, didn't mean to widen it that much. This brush is probably a little bit big. I'm going up underneath.
Which brush are you using right now?
The number 4.
Numero 4.
Yes.
The cleanup brush. Batting fourth.
Is that what it's called in baseball?
I don't want to mansplain it to you.
I knew that was coming later. I knew. He was just waiting for me to ask her something so he could say that this whole time. Truth hurts. All right. I'm going right down the middle there. That was down a bit too big. I'm going to narrow that in a little bit on each side. Just to set dry. So the main thing you want to make sure that you're doing is covering the background. So you don't want your grasses to show through. So like on this one right here, I can see my grasses through this in places. So I definitely don't want that to happen. So put as many coats as you need to make sure that you're covering up that previous layers. Getting that burnt orange and burnt umber here. This brush is, I need to switch. I keep saying it. I need to switch to a smaller brush. So I don't have to worry about my lines getting too big. So I'm going to go with the number 2. How's everybody doing in chat today?
Everybody's doing good.
Good.
I'm battling autocorrect here, sorry.
The burnt umber here. I'm going up the middle with it. They do good.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Lowe's yesterday, and there were so many people without masks. I was like, I just wanted to smack them. Seriously, peoples.
But we had our masks on.
We did, and so did all the Lowe's employees. Finally, thank you.
I especially like the ones that had the masks on, but like not covering their nose.
Are they just gonna have it hanging?
Yeah.
That's effective.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you get the idea.
It's not that they work 100%. It's that if everybody wears them, there'll be at least less chance of getting it. You know, it's like better than nothing. Oh well, to each his own. It's a free country, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, let me see here. Don't leave me comments about masks, please. Please, I will delete them, so don't waste your time.
I'm having fun because
I'm going to go with what the CDC is telling us to do, and not random naysayers. So go.
I know a year ago I couldn't go into a store with a mask on. So I might as well enjoy it while I can.
Exactly.
But a public service tip for people who are going to be wearing masks.
Yes.
Make sure you brush your teeth first before you go out using it. Just a helpful tip.
Just from first-hand knowledge.
Maybe.
Were you gagging yourself yesterday?
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Now I feel really bad for Angela.
That's awesome. Right, and let's see. Here. Dark. It's kind of a catch-22 because you need it fluid with these round brushes to get it to cover or to, go on smoothly. But then you also don't want it too thin because then it'll be transparent and then you won't be able to see it. So just adjust as needed. So this area down here is a little bit darker. I'm just adding a little bit more of like the burnt umber, but it's got a little bit of a reddish tone. All of this whole bike, even the shadow areas have a little bit of that reddish tone. That gold is kind of affecting it from the sunlight. Getting the black. I add a little bit of blue or the brown to it too, so. Okay, this is going to go all the way down into the grass. And I'm going to look at my outline here and just try to kind of get it sort of right. Oops. Yeah. I did kind of lose my drawing down here. It's not right. Let's do this upper part first and then be able to tell better. I think I brought this down a little bit too much. That's why it looks kind of weird. Excuse me, goodness. Let me fix that real quick. I think that's what's making the wheel look weird. I think that comes up right there. We'll just make sure that we get grasses covering that, but that'll make it much better. Let's get a little bit of the red. I have that yellow on here, and then I have the Cadmium Red Light. Keeping it just right around the top part there. Okay. There we go. It's better now when I put these tires down in here. It's going to look better. Somewhere in there. I'm not. I'm deliberately being a little bit. Not deliberately, but I'm being a little bit careless with it. So I'm just going to tap out this area because this is all in grass. Just blend that in a little bit. Okay. So that part does not have to be. Perfect. Right about in here, just like we did here. Once you get it down into this grass area, we want it to just kind of blend out. We're going to be putting this stuff over the top. So want it to be, generally in the right area, but it doesn't have to be perfect. We really can't see all of this. So we're just guessing where this is. That's what I'm saying. All right. Continuing this all the way around. This brush is almost too small for this, but this is 0. Okay, something's weird happening with this tire because it's like getting wide right here. I think I brought this out too close to I brought that whole red part right there too close to the thing there. I'm going to have to add a little bit of the background white to cover that up. Oh, this one, this part comes in a little bit closer right here. And then right there. That whole area is not. White. Okay. I'll tint it yellow once it's dry. Try that again. It's too wet. Might get a little bit yellow. And this tire looks bigger because of the perspective. This tire is in front and it's at an angle to us. So we're not looking at it completely to the side. If we were looking at it straight to the side, the wheels would be the same size. But because this is a little bit farther away from us up here, the perspective point is if you did a line from here and a line from here and here and met them like a straight line from here to here out this way and a line from here to here out this way, we're going to have a point somewhere out in here, maybe way out along the horizon line, somewhere that's gonna widen out. So just like we did with the canal last week, same concept. So perspective, diminishing perspective, farther away from us. Alrighty. Get some of this brown here. Here are our basket supports. One set on either side here. Kind of going a little thick with this. This back side is a little bit lighter, maybe. And I can go over this with just a little bit of highlight on one side. Okay. And get the gold from the basket. What are you doing then? Yeah, 2 hours? Okay.
2 hours, yeah.
Figured. We're almost done. Won't have much longer.
Oh man, at least good 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Getting out your snacks?
Jerky.
Nice. Okay, So this basket is kind of woven. So I'm just going to kind of create texture, just wiggling it down there. Baskets and woven things are one of my favorite things to paint. Ropes, all that stuff. They're really fun because they go together really fast. Like it's pretty easy to make that kind of illusion. I always like things like that. So I'm going to grab some of this yellow. I'm going to get the brown. And I'm going to do the brown areas first. Just pretty much fill this in. I'm kind of trying to mimic where I think those lines are going to go across. But I'm not too worried about it right now. Just want to get some darkish areas in here to play with. Even doing this, just putting it on with a little bit of that background color showing through, it already kind of looks like basket texture, doesn't it? It's pretty cool. This is sitting at an angle, so we're going to do all of these weaves at an angle, not straight this way. So we're going to kind of follow the angle of the basket itself. I'll let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to get some of this yellow. It's the brown and maybe actually I want to get some Indian yellow. It's kind of a bright yellow. And do my little lines here. They're real close together here. And then as we get farther away, these are getting farther away. Right in here, they're real light because there's sunlight pouring through right there. Okay. I'm gonna get some white. White with my yellow, with my white, yeah, with my Indian yellow there. I'm going to put it over the top here. You can kind of put a little bit there, but we're going to put the sunshine coming through. So I'm just going to kind of pick the spot and do lines down. And then I'm going to do other lines kind of in between, but doesn't matter too much if they line up perfectly. If you want them to, you can take your time and kind of make sure that they're every other, you know, that your basket weave goes every other. And then down here, closer to the edge, there's going to be more of the lighter color, so we can get some of the unbleached titanium. And use that with my yellow. I'm not being super careful with this. I probably should be a little bit more. Just doing it fast. So then I'm going back in with my darker, going along one side of it, adding a little bit of a shadow. You can do this with your glaze too afterwards, but I'm just going to do it right now a little bit. Just making sure you have a shadow on. It's kind of one side of it. It helps kind of reinforce that texture. Well, that's that, and I'll look back on it once it's dry and see if there's anything else I want to change. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it, I think. Let me get some of that darker and add it just to the bottom of this. Okay, so we're gonna add the highlight to that at the very end. There's like another support here. I'm not going to bother with it. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, let's get a little bit of that Indian yellow and white. I'm just going to kind of start to tint this area a little bit around my basket with where I'm going to put that glow later. Just barely tinting. I'm going to get a little bit of the red even. Cadmium Red Light. And this should be very faint. You need to wait for that to dry. We'll do it in a minute. It's got to dry first. Okay, let's keep on going over here. Oh, getting the burnt orange here with the reds. What you looking up, hon? Works typing. It's not listening to me.
So somebody was asking about the supports for the basket. And I'm trying to figure out.
Right here. They're in the spokes, I think.
Well, they can't go to the spokes. They'd have to go down to the axle.
Oh, I don't know.
But in the picture, it doesn't show them going down to the axle either. So I'm trying to figure out how it's supported there.
I don't know. It's a good question. Don't know.
Yeah, because normally it goes down. Sorry for the mansplaining here, but they usually go down to the axle. But I can clearly see that they don't go down to the axle in the photograph here. So
I mean, maybe there's another thin rod that we're not seeing that's coming down from them. We could just add that. It's probably behind this big piece of grass. There's a big piece of grass right here in the picture, and it's covering. So I'm maybe this continues down here. I'm guessing maybe something like that. We'll just do that.
Okay.
We're putting grass in front of it anyways, but
we'll grass it up.
That'll make it what's the word I'm thinking of? Physically correct. Possible.
It won't defy the laws
of physics. Exactly. I'll get a little bit of the darker brown now, and now that this is dry, I'm gonna add my second coat on this part here. Getting some of the gray. I need to put the little highlight on the thing there, but I'll do it after I get this bike seat in. I'm gonna get the brown and hello, burnt umber and yellow oxide here. It's very similar to the color I already started it. So I'm going to get the dark black, and this area right here is black. It's in the inside of that back seat. Very dark. And I'm going to use the very small brush, just whatever you can get that's small enough. Do my little coil here. It's a fun line here, line up, line there, line up, line there. It's kind of curving. I don't think I did that quite right, but you get the idea. Okay. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this darker color along the back side of the seat. To right about right there. I brought the bottom front of this down too far. I don't think I can get that off. So I have to paint it in. Darn it. When I was painting it in before I started my tree, I went down too far on it. So just try to get a color that's close to that background. Go. Somewhere in there. This is all going to be, we're going to glaze over some of the bike and things and probably splatter, and so it's fine if it's not exactly just, so I'm not really worried about it. Let's get a little bit more of that bike seat color. I'm going to put a little bit of lighter color at the top there, and then a bit of a highlight right here. Top of the seat. And then back here, it just kind of blends in. So I put the color down where I want it the brightest, and I'm just going right up next to it and just kind of pulling that wet paint down back into the other area. I really don't want to mess with the really wet paint very much. Let me get the white. And that's still wet, so it's gonna mix it a little bit right there. It's actually, looking at it, There's dark right here. Oops, wow. That was more paint than I intended to put down there. This little highlight here is a little tricky right here. Right there. And then there's a little bit of the inside of the there. Dark in front down to here. Dark area comes up a little higher right there too. Okay, that's better. Get the ink brush here. The burnt orange and a little bit of burnt umber. Do my second coat underneath this area here. I'm getting the burnt orange or the cadmium red light here. That edge of the seat there. These both kind of meet up right there. Okay. It's starting to look more realistic. Gonna use this brighter red here in this middle area. Now that we've got the dark, we can kind of just brush it on and it'll kind of streak and look like it's kind of weathered. It's got some kind of rusty parts stuff. So I'm not going on super evenly with it. That's okay. Going to use the Indian yellow, little burnt sienna, golden brown. Go over the basket a little bit with this. Make it a little bit more golden. And still need a bunch of grass. What was that? Hmm. All right. And a shadow color all the way down. This one too. Oops. I feel like I've drank too much caffeine today and I haven't hardly had any. Can't draw a straight line to save my life. Or paint one either. Okay, gonna do some darker shadows underneath. Here, it should be already kind of there, but I'm just making sure that they're. This area down here is darker. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right. Gonna get some white. And I'm gonna get a little bit of the brown just to tone it down just slightly. My glaze. I want to add my okay. Add my highlights really light. There, and I just turn this so I can see where I'm painting at. Oops, if you can see where your line's going. Just down one off there, right? Do that one a little bit thinner right there. There we go. See it down here. Whoop. And this just does not want to paint for me today. Okay. And get the darker color and come just inside this. Just inside the white there. Okay. Okay. And then there's some side pieces here. Here and there. Get a little bit dark. I'm going to get my really fine brush here. And some, get that brown. Brown and black here. Very thin. And spokes do kind of weird things. They don't all go to the center just right. So do some of them that way, but some of them are going to kind of go just off the center for some reason. I don't know. There's like a little, I think some of them go to the one closest and some of them go to the one on the other side, you know. So they all look a little bit off. There's some pieces here that I missed too. A bit bigger pieces. Holding the fender in place there. I'm just going to kind of go like that. Not too much. Most of these are going to be covered by a lot of grasses, so as long as they could look kind of right, I don't think it's going to matter. Some of them are going to be in front of, and some are going to be behind the other stuff. I'm trying to say. Let me get this color. Get a little bit of the Cadmium Red Light and my glazing medium and some of that yellow, Indian yellow. I'm gonna make a bright orange yellow color. I can use that in here. Let me get the Zinc White. I still have that red. Added a little bit more yellow. Cadmium yellow this time. Get the glaze there and add a little bit of that yellow white glue right there. A little bit of white yellow. So this is a little bit more opaque. This will cover up kind of what's there. I'm gonna just grab very little paint on my brush. I wiped it off. So keep it kind of subtle. Just going to slowly layer on the sun glow. This titanium white will help create that glow area, and then we'll add the colors on top too. I'm putting the color on, and then I'm just making sure that this outer edges are blended in really well so they look clean. I don't know why there's color up there. There we go. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's let that dry, and we'll do some grasses while we're waiting. So, trying to think if I want to do my grasses with my thin. I think I'm going to do my grasses. I'm going to get a little bit bigger angle brush. Press that flat. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a green, phthalo green, phthalo blue, I mean, and yellow oxide. I'm going to mix it with that brown. It's brown black. It's all the browns. I don't know. Okay. So I'm going to just lift up and go at an angle. Grasses tend to grow in little clumps, so you can kind of pick a clump and sort of fan it out, and then move another one and do another series of them. That way they kind of look natural, and there's kind of a natural overlapping happening. See how we can cover over a lot of that by these dark green grasses. And then in some places I'm going to get a little bit more yellow, a little bit of white where the sunlight's hitting them, and do some of these with a little bit of the lighter green. The only place I'm seeing the green really is kind of right in here. The rest of them are looking kind of ochre. So pretty decent. I'm losing interest. Okay. It's fun. So right in here, I want to do nice and dark. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that burnt brown or black, and do like right about the tires with some of that black so that it obscures the wheels. Makes them blend into that grass. And you can see why we did the grass in behind first. Hopefully. But it's making more sense now. Getting black here. I probably don't want it all the way black, so maybe I'll grab a little bit of the yellow oxide to use with it. Do the black over here. Okay. And then use that Indian yellow, a little bit of yellow oxide, a little bit of white just to make it more opaque. And I'm just going to start tapping in. So these larger, I should say. And get some burnt sienna. Try that. Here we go. Getting some of that lighter yellow here. They are just really overlapping. There's really no rhyme or reason. This is where that big one there was. I'm way off camera there, honey. And then as they come closer here, they are quite large, so don't be afraid of really pressing down hard there and getting some of these. That's what's going to give it perspective. So these big ones right in front here, pushing all the rest of it back. Just make sure that they're opaque enough that they're covering up the other ones. It's looking good. There's some really big ones right in front right here, down low. Fun. These really add a lot. And again, if you've got an area where you're like, I don't like that spoke part right there, so I'm just going to cover that. This is where you can really kind of hide and adjust things and make it a darker color now. Getting a little bit of burnt umber, burnt sienna in my brush. Go underneath and shadow some of these. Not all of them need shadows. Some of them will, some of them won't. And some of them are overlapping, so, kind of try to see where the overlap happens and don't put your shadow over the top of an overlapped area, obviously. Keep that perspective. Some of these, if they don't have like stems, or they need, some, you don't have to have the stems because we've got so many grasses and everything, but it'll look good, for some of these ones in the front to make sure that they have something that they look like they're attached to. And then these ones over here. I'm glad I almost did this one on Tuesday night. Can you believe it? Been so mad at me.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Tuesday nights we try to keep them short because it works. Got a job. You got two jobs.
I mean, right now it's okay-ish because I'm working from home.
True. Not as bad. We don't have to get up as early.
But normally, yeah, it'd be a problem. I'd go to bed hungry.
Yeah. Getting as much of a glow on these as I want. So I'm going to try some yellow. White. Just a few of them. The brighter yellow. There we go. Let's do. Brighter yellow's helping show them up a little bit better. We can always glaze back over them and tone them down, but at least we've got them showing up now. So that's the main thing. Let's get a little bit of that burnt sienna. Just tapping in line here, just trying to create some shapes in my. They're art, most of them. These ones that are low are kind of flattened out. They're kind of maybe they've been bent over from the bike coming through. People been walking on them. They're not straight up and down. All right. I'm going to get some of that yellow. Green yellow. Cadmium yellow. White, or the glazing medium, I mean. And then I'm going to go in here and brighten up around my sun, my basket. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the red, Cadmium Red Light here too. Around the outside. Yellow closest to the sun, and good. Red around the outside. All right, then I'm going to take my Zinc White, just straight Zinc White, and yeah, just a little bit of raise. Just go over this and streak it through just a little bit. Probably needed to let that yellow dry first, but had too much in there. I'll just let that dry. I'm making it worse. I did the same thing on that other time when I did the last sunset. Keep messing with these while they're drying. Okay, throwing some bright yellow highlights on some of these. My just trying to get some of this color that I've already used before, some of the gray-green kind of color. Maybe add a little bit of lighter color to it. And then I'm going to use it to do a few of the grasses in and around what I've got here. So this will just kind of obscure all of the taller grasses here. Just add, it's all about the layering. Just adding some grasses on top of the grasses. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Okay, just a little bit, leave it. All right, What do you think? I think I'm going to splatter it. I'm talking back to myself there. Did you get that?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
I'm a little tired, obviously. What do you think? I think I'm going to splatter it. Okay. Talking to myself now. That was pretty funny. Could you make kind of a medium brown color? Doesn't really matter. Just something that'll kind of blend in with all of this and look like little light motes getting caught by the sun light. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the white and the glaze. When you splatter, you want to have the water, just like when you do the lining, a liner brush, you need it to be kind of an inky consistency. So this just adds kind of that dreamy quality that we're going for here. Add some to there. Looks like bugs or I don't know, stuff happening in there. Bugs or stuff, who knows? Gonna zoom out so I can see it. There you go. I'm gonna have to use a brush to sign it because it's too dark. Everybody's going in the back. Super chat?
Yes, some super chat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
What?
I didn't hear the bell at all.
Huh? Uh-oh.
I got the filter on.
Uh-oh. You're gonna have to turn off the filter when you do your bell.
Yeah, here, I'll do it.
You can turn off the lights, though.
Well, I got to do super chat.
Okay, well,
After
turn off the
everybody.
lights, please.
Okay, so here we go. The first super chat was from Laura, and she says, "You're both so fun. It's so nice to be part of your great relationship while we enjoy watching you paint. Angela, and what a great friendship example you give us. Love you too. Big art hugs."
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, Laura. And the second one was from Tara, and she says, "Thank you very much, Angela and Mark. Your tutorials have..."
Thank you. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
He says, "Thank you very much, Angela and Mark. Your tutorials have gotten me through sheltering in place. God bless you and your family." So thank you very much, Tara and
Thank you, Tara.
Laura.
Tara and Laura. Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks for spending your day with us and taking time out of your day to hang out with us. It means a lot. It really does. We really appreciate it. And hope you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And that lets YouTube know that it's a good video and that they should show it to other people. Mm-hmm. And show more of my stuff to you too. So it's just a good all the way around easy way of kind of helping support our channel. We appreciate it. And if you're painting along and you want to share it with me, I've got all kinds of social media links down in the description where you can share your painting with me, and I'd love to see it. Try to get in my Facebook group. The Facebook group's probably the easiest way because then I know I'll for sure see it there. But we've got all kinds of different places. And we do have rules in that group. We've got a new thing where like you can't get into the Thankful Art group unless you agree to the rules. So just read the rules real quick. They're not that big of a deal, but our moderators, just to warn you, our moderators will not let you in unless you agree to them. So It's kind of a new thing. But
The rules are basically be kind, be nice.
right. And don't spam it. Don't try to promote your art.
Right.
Just share the stuff that you're painting from my tutorials. The end.
Yeah.
That's it.
And laugh at
And
my
encourage each other.
and laugh at
encourage
my
each other.
posts.
And yeah, and that's a requirement too. That is, we should put that in the rules.
Exactly.
It's not in there right now.
If I don't get enough thumbs up if you don't thumbs up my stupid posts.
You get to see a lot of pictures of our cat. So if you're a cat picture lover, it's this a group for you. I'm joking. There's all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, so we have fun.
And you can also check out Patreon for
Yes.
more tutorials, a little more advanced teaching.
Yeah, and we've got some really fun stuff coming up this month because I'm going to be celebrating a quarantine paint party with our patrons, just Patreon folks. So that's going to come up not next week, the week after, and it's we've got lots of going to be giving away paintings and canvases, brushes, all kinds of stuff. So, and I think we're going to be running an Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, we're going to probably be running a Fredrix giveaway this next week too. So start next week. So you can check that out. And one of our videos next week will also have the giveaway. They wanted to do one on Instagram and one on YouTube. So we'll have a little bit of both. All right. So there's our things. And then to finish it up, we can use a little bit of the glaze and our burnt sienna, burnt umber here, and just kind of go in the middle of some of these and add a little bit of a dark halo in the centers of these. Doesn't have to be all of them, but a lot of them have kind of a darker area. So I went and added the kind of a little bit more highlight area. So this would be a little bit more prominent here, but just pick a few that you can really see the whole thing. And it may help to use a fuzzier brush. This one's not really being very fuzzy before me, but you get the idea. Getting that darker color right in the center there. That gives it that backlit effect. Now I did do really simple grasses painting last year in the fall. That was like purple and pink grasses. So if you really like this kind of look and maybe want to simplify it or kind of see what I did there, you could check that video out too. I should link to it, but I didn't think about it just now. Lots of different paintings. Lots of different ones. Okay. Get them really glazed here and just really fuzz out those edges. I don't want them to look obvious, so I want them to be real fuzzy. So. There we go. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. That was fun. So like I said, if you try it, let us know. And I think I could have added even a little bit more glow up there, but I'm not going to do it. I'm tired. So you can work more on yours and personalize it all you want. So anyhow, I think it's probably a medium difficulty. There's a lot of lines and stuff, so I would say this one is probably on the higher end of the scale as far as difficulty goes. More difficult than I really expected it to be. So, All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching with us today. Be safe. We'll see you next time.